Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie. Here we are.
I'm laughing, so why not?
I know.
That's how we typically start.
Exactly. So, just letting the levels level off.
Oh, level.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta level it.
So, hello everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. I didn't post the pages like I said I would on Friday, to Brian anyway. It's because at the end of my week, it's like I'm in the weekend mindset immediately, right? I've poured all of my mental energy into my work week, and now it's Friday, and I want to basically extend my weekend as much as possible, so that is Friday night. Like, I want to make sure my weekend is Friday night as well. So yeah, I decided I would just veg out, play some video games, and the thing with me in video games, like, this will never go away for me. I think, like, if I can distract my mind, everything else, like my body and the pangs of hunger, all of that can all be pushed aside as long as I can be focused on a task in a video game. It's very interesting. I feel like. Go ahead.
What's your game of choice right now?
Oh no, this it wasn't even like a good game. It's like an old game that I got to work on my Windows 10 machine, that I just wanted to play out of nostalgia.
That doesn't mean it's a bad game.
Well, it's also not a very good game. When I played it, when I originally played it, I didn't really enjoy it. It's video games, they fall into like two categories for me. One is either like, wow, this game really affected me because of like these new mechanics, like the AI it felt really organic to whatever game I was playing, or the story was really good, or whatever, or it's like what I brought into the game, whatever my psychological hang-ups are. I don't even know if hang-up is the word, but if the game was an adventure game, and here I am, a person who doesn't really have the ability to adventure, this adventure game really spoke to me. I know that's a really weak, unspecific example, but I'm just trying to explain my point here. Okay, so those are that's one category. The other category is it's something I need to defeat, right? Like, it's a challenge that developers have put in front of me, and I just need to get it out of the way. It's just a thing on my to-do list. And because I'm kind of like this OCD completionist, to a degree, I have to overcome the challenge, right? And so this is one of those. And the reason it's nostalgic for me is back in the day, I had a really good friend who was also a gamer, and there were things about this game that they just became like inside jokes from like different things characters said, and they were annoying, and so we would say them back and forth to each other, and it just made us laugh. And so this was just hearkening back to better times.
Simpler times?
I don't know if they were simpler, but they were better. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got to relive that.
I look at, I was up till midnight, so I got home. Oh, Jesus, this is going to happen for a while, folks. I got home at like 5, and I played until midnight, and then I woke up, and I immediately jumped on to keep playing to defeat the game that I had already defeated before. I don't know why. I'm rechecking it off my list. And I was playing from 8 until like 4:30 or so, 4:20. And I was like, man, that's like a day. That's like a day job right there. I hadn't eaten, hadn't showered, hadn't done anything, hadn't moved, And so I'm dehydrated, my head hurts, all of that. I'm just in a funk. The sun has already set, right? It's like the day, I've just been in the time warp, Brian. a time warp. It's all gone.
Well, did you enjoy yourself at least?
Well,
That is a very qualified answer.
it's hard to describe that. I mean, it's in the sense of wow, I accomplished this meaningless task
Again.
Right? Like, it's meaningless. Yet I can't say that I didn't. I can't say that I had a bad time. Mm-hmm. It was just time passing. There you go. Yeah. I think this is why I am like a workaholic now, because I realize, I look back over the years of my life and I see, wow, I really did waste a lot of my time on entertainment. I need to work. I need to monetize every moment that I am awake.
Right? Well, at least you attack not monetizing a moment just as, hard as you do monetizing, right? That was a great effort, dude, to go in there from last night till basically all day today.
Yeah.
Sacrificed your health for it.
Totally.
Your cleanliness, everything.
Let it go. So
that's a man who's dedicated.
So I didn't actually follow up on, I didn't fact check this, but I had read, or maybe I'd watched a TEDx video, I'm not sure, a TED Talk video, I mean. Is that TEDx? That's TEDx, right?
TEDx is usually the technology part of it.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was a TED Talk. Anyway, the more I think about it, I think it was a TED Talk. But this lady, she was talking about the origin of games, and she dated it back to some Mesopotamian civilization. I don't know if that's correct, but anyway, it was this city where they were running out of food. People were starving, and they created this game, like a dice game of some kind. And people who are watching this, forgive me if I'm butchering this. But anyway, they created this dice game, and everyone loved to play it. It became addictive, right? And so because they were low on food, the people running the city basically said, okay, half of you will get to play the game, half of you will get to eat. And they would switch off. And some, it got to the point where some people opted to play the game instead of eating food.
Wow.
And I think about that story every time, I can feel the pangs of hunger. I can feel, the sharpness of hunger pangs, right? That's all dulled. But you can feel when you are hyper concentrated, or at least for me, when I'm hyper concentrated on a game, I can feel the symptoms of the problem. Whoa, I'm kind of slowing down here.
Right.
Let me focus more on the game. You know what I mean? So there we are. I always think about that story. I would be the guy rolling the dice over and over again instead of eating bread or whatever the hell they had back then.
Staying alive.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like you have an opportunity to embrace this passion for gaming and monetize it. This is a diet in the making, dude. That's what you need to do. You need to get it out there, and half the people can game on, whatever is random. You get to select. That's your game.
I see. I thought you were calling me fat. Okay, never mind.
No, you're going to be the guy who's running the game master. Or whatever you guys call it.
Dude, that is...
The diet master.
That is... I think of this as from a story perspective rather than a business idea, because the business idea only has some potential. I don't know how we could actually get people, But I think of let's go... If we take the idea seriously, I think of it like a Peloton kind of situation. Do you know what Peloton is?
Of course.
Yeah. And, that would be kind of interesting. You log in and you got that person who's like, you eat. It's your eat day.
This is almost... It's like a remake, dude. This is the true Hunger Games right here.
Exactly. It would be Hunger Games Origins. Hunger Games Year Zero.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get Lenny Kravitz on board. Done.
Totally.
Done.
Totally.
Yeah.
Donald Sutherland, is he still alive?
Well, we'll get Kiefer, you know.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've already just gone off the deep end on this episode. We haven't even started really yet.
Well, this episode, the pages get a little... I kind of push the envelope, especially towards the end. I'm not sure how it's going to be received. It is... just before we jump into it, I don't want you... If it crossed my mind that you would think, okay, Renee's not taking this seriously. He's just messing with me right now. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm just gonna send it to him, have him read it cold, and see how he feels about it, because this is more or less how I envisioned that particular sequence to go.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly where it is. Okay. And I do have a comment about it when we get there.
Am I going to say the catchphrase, Brian? Catchphrase for the episode? Double.
No, you're not.
Don't
that's
say
not
it.
in the.
Okay.
That's not in the version I'm giving.
Oh, okay, that's right.
What was I going to tell you though? Oh, I would like to do during my reading. I want to do a little bit of voice.
You want to do voice for?
I'm going to take a little creative license during one of the action descriptions.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess you'll just have to be there when it happens. There's a lot of action in this, especially like in the first few pages.
Well, we're getting to the end, right?
I love where it's like 5 pages, and then there's one where it's like Maggie says, "Help!" And
I threw that in.
Hour.
Yeah, I threw that in just to break up.
Give me time to take a quick drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Chaos ensues. Oh.
Okay. Well, Brian, anything else you want to add before we get into the pages? Oh, wait, you know what? How was your week?
My week was good, man. I got to travel and see a really good friend.
Yeah, we didn't even cover this.
No. Well, I thought that you were going to post the our little.
I know, but then I thought it's kind of lame without like having the post viewing.
You said that. Who cares? No one cares.
I know, exactly. All right, folks. So let me just bring everybody up to speed. So Brian came out, and we got to hang out, and we watched a French movie called La Horde. Baguette. Anyway, and it was poorly translated, sadly, because we were watching an illegal upload on YouTube, and whoever did the closed captioning on that was
drunk.
Didn't do a very good job. So I was translating the translation in real time as best I could. If I
was able to get quite a bit of it just contextually from what was happening, but every so often, at a crucial point, I would just kind of look over and he'd say, "This is what they said."
I tried to anyway. I know I missed a couple of times, but I was trying to remember what the actual dialogue was. Right? I don't speak French, so I don't know. So I was trying to regenerate the captioning that I saw when I first saw it. Anyway,
so many layers.
I know. Gosh.
Complexity.
So it was like an intense movie viewing experience for me. I was just like, it's like a game. Think of it like a game.
A game you've played before.
Yeah. Oh, man, the callback. That was great. We saw La Horde, and I really like that movie, and as I said in I think last episode, it's probably a perfect script for me for what the movie is. Given that I had already given my opinion to Brian about it, I suspect he kind of sugarcoated his opinion of it, for my sake. So.
Oh no! If I didn't like it, you would know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Absolutely. No, that was straight up.
Great.
That was straight up. No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think it was interesting too because the very beginning of it, I got to see René experience something he really liked, sort of for the first time. because the version that we were watching had scenes that he had not seen before.
Right.
So that was kind of cool. Add a little context to the beginning of the movie for you, and I think that was kind of neat. I mean, I've definitely been in that boat before, where I'm like seeing something kind of again for the first time with new additions. Like, oh, this is like the director's cut. You know,
Yeah,
this is so cool. Why didn't they leave this in?
totally. Yeah, you know, now that I think about it, it's like the part that they cut out in the version I saw, like you don't know in the beginning in that cemetery scene, you don't know that they're cops.
Right.
You don't know that they're cops until like way late, until after, you know, they're caught and all of that.
Yeah.
And so that whole beginning portion, it's meant to show that, hey, these are cops who are going to do something that's unlawful, essentially. Yeah. So I thought that was a nice addition. And, you know, I don't think that it necessarily added a lot to the movie, given what the movie is. Like, I enjoyed it just fine without it, but having that little bit of context, it makes me like it that much more.
It was motivation, and you got to see a little bit more about, you know, what was driving or that dynamic between the woman and the man. And
yeah,
you know,
right.
So I thought that was, I thought without that there, it would have been lacking a little bit. But that, like that scene where they were in the alley and beating on that guy to find the lair.
Right.
I didn't think that was really that necessary.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there's one that was good, one that was fine. I think it was a smart script in that, from a studio perspective, most of it takes place within this large building, you know, so you have sets basically that you can film most of this on. It's really intelligent.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have something that is essentially large scale, you know, this is not just happening there. It just happens to be the story, their particular story within a much larger kind of world event, or at least, you know, area event.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really smart way to go, you know, and then, you know, just kind of hint that there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on just beyond their perimeter. So that was kind of cool. I always like when they do that, because it feels like, you know, it's kind of self-contained and a little bit claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But you also get to know the people, you know, real well, and the characters. Even though they were speaking in French, like they were very distinct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, the more I like to mull over a movie afterwards, and I may have actually not given it enough credit, because I was like, that was actually really good. I did enjoy it, except for the old man. Everything else was really good. That guy.
Yeah, you know the Chinese, Brian. So on a semi-related note, this is probably a 45-second story. So speaking of watching a movie and then, you know, liking it, and then finding out, oh, there's other parts to the movie that you didn't see for whatever reason, and now in this other viewing, there's this whole new chunk for you to really appreciate.
Right.
The first time I ever experienced that happening was in the days of illegal downloading movies in parts on Kazaa. Do you remember Kazaa, Brian? Kazaa and Kazaa Lite.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember watching Memento, right? I was told, hey, you should check out Memento. I'm like, okay, I'll watch Memento. So I downloaded 1 of 2. Oh, okay. And then 2 of 2. Oh, that was really good. A clever movie, right?
Yeah.
And then later, I was trying to get my friend to watch it, and I didn't have it anymore because it was like months later, and we were dealing with small hard drives and all of that, right? So right. I re-downloaded 1 of 1 and 2 of, or 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a second, what is all this? This whole like middle part, right? This whole middle part. So I had downloaded like 2 parts the first time that didn't match, right?
Oh.
Like this 2 of 2 of this group that I downloaded was missing like 10 minutes or something, right? So I don't know why. I guess I just filled in the blanks in my mind, like, right. Oh well, you know, he must have done some stuff that they just didn't show, and this is fine. Right? But now that I've seen the entire movie, because I'm a law-abiding citizen, I like it as a complete movie. But I did have that experience, Brian, of like, wow, this is like, there's so much more content to enjoy.
Speaking of Memento, I guess that I don't know if it was authorized or just someone did it and put it out there, where they took the entire movie and recut the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was linear.
In a forward, yeah.
Oh man, and I'm like, first off, I won't watch it because that's not the intent of the movie at all. It's supposed to be something that you enjoy, and there are these little things that happen which are really exciting and interesting, and you think something's happening, and then it completely shifts on you. Well, that all goes away, I imagine, when you watch it,
right?
In linear fashion.
Yeah.
What a horrible way to take a movie. To me, that's the same thing as taking a movie that's linear and just butchering it. Moving stuff around wherever you want.
Yeah.
Terrible. You know what I mean? It's like it's supposed to be a somewhat challenging movie that kind of, you have to be a little bit patient with. You have to keep a little bit of a memory,
right?
As much as he has, for each of those scenes, as far as how do they play out.
Sure. Well, I mean, as an alternative way to view the movie for maybe for people who didn't want to watch it in its original form, then I'm with you. I think it should be appreciated in its original form, but as just like a little fun thing to do, like, hey, what would it be like to watch it, straight through with everything in order? I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, when I think of other little experiments like, hey, you get 5 seconds of this movie and we'll just do, everyone gets 5 seconds of the movie and we get to do our own little like take on it. I would watch that for a little bit until I develop some kind of psychosis.
I have watched things like that.
Well, there you go.
Fine because that's a remake and an homage to some extent. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where they take the original, and shuffle things around. I don't think that's a cool thing to do. I know that like they've done, for example, I guess I shouldn't say that because I know that there's a version of like is it the Phantom Menace, I think, where they redubbed Jar Jar and now he's like an alien dude. He's like like that, and they have like subtitles.
Yeah,
and the subtitles are all like, he's kind of a badass. You know what I mean? And they kind of they shuffle the movie, but maybe it's because I have a bit of love for Memento and none for the
well, there you go. I think it's that.
That's probably what it really is. Let me deconstruct myself.
I love it. Hey, a person who can be honest with themselves and the internet, that's a person that you can trust.
And the internet. Wow.
I feel like, I want to just keep talking about random stuff instead of the project.
I think we should go to the script, but for something a little bit fun, I'm going to shuffle the pages and let people figure out, we let them come to terms with it.
I love it.
With how it should be.
Go a level deeper, Brian. Shuffle the words. Shuffle the words. Oh, here's one thing I wanted to say before we go. Okay, so we're talking about linear storytelling or non-linear. A movie I really like, and it's a romantic drama, is a movie called
Notebook.
Peter and Vandy. What?
I said The Notebook.
Oh, no, not The Notebook, Brian. Never The Notebook. Peter and Vandy.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it stars Jason Ritter, and I can never remember her name, but she was...
Say the name of the movie again?
Peter and Vandy.
Okay.
And the girl was in the movie Teeth.
I skipped that one.
Yeah. I don't think I would watch it either, but that's the movie she was in. Teeth. Do you know what that movie's about, Brian?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
okay.
why I skipped it.
Let me just clip because I have no idea what's going on with my microphone. All right. Let us get to the script.
Yes.
Here we are. Wow, it is all
good
action.
News, folks. Good news, folks. No exterior Wells green bank today. So
yes, correct. No exterior Wells Green Bank. Asked aghast.
Yeah, we have We have a couple of people who are, I think, going to be ablaze, right?
What?
You said aghast. I was thinking ablaze. I think there's a blaze a couple
Oh,
times.
yeah. Right, there is. Is there?
There are.
Oh, yes, there are. That's right. Correct. I couldn't remember because I remembered I had to go back, or I wanted to go back and add that Mortimer and Chief are at the outpost. I don't know if I actually went back that far. I think I just started writing here and said, I'll just remember later.
Speaking of which, did I ever send you notes from last
No,
week?
you did not, Brian.
Awesome.
It's fine.
Really cool. Really cool.
Don't worry about it. I didn't even put up a blog post. Who cares? Who cares?
I care. I looked yesterday and today. I'm like, he's not writing. He's
Nope.
not writing.
Nope. I was playing a video game, bro. The world was dead to me. Okay, Brian.
Tell me when it's up.
Yeah, we've been up. They've been staring at this script while we're bantering.
Sorry, people. All right. Exterior outpost continuous. The area is complete chaos as the outpost burns ferociously. Some townsfolk run off into the night, ablaze. Others rise as undead, also ablaze. Infected and undead from all over town begin arriving from all directions. Survivors mount a hasty defense, but the futility is obvious. Jimmy and Sarah run off in one direction. Mortimer is chased in a different direction by Yoo-hoo. Stan leads his group armed with various tools down a dark alley. Exterior, alley number 2, continuous. Stan and Ray lead the way. As they pass a shack, undead burst through the door, splitting Stan and Ray off from Maggie and Tommy. The undead shuffle toward the men. Stan and Ray fight to get to Maggie. She turns to see a headbanger charging. Exterior, alley number 3, continuous. In another part of town, Mortimer runs from the Yoo-hoo chasing him. He finds himself behind a shop, and he hops into a casket, closing the lid on himself. The Yoo-hoo runs past. After a moment, Mortimer emerges, relieved. Light spills from his shop into the alley, creating a door-shaped pool of light, but making the darkness beyond even darker. And then Mortimer hears a Yoo-hoo. A shapely, glistened figure is barely visible in the dark. Yoo-hoos echo down the alley, and more glittered bodies appear. They run at Mortimer. As they pass his shop, the shaft of life reveals these Yoo-hoos' advanced stages, with their distended bellies, bone claws, and sharpened teeth. Mortimer turns to run, but he comes face to face with the Yoo-hoo. She pulls him close and whispers in his ear. The Yoo-hoos fall on him. Exterior, alley number 2, continuous. Using a shuffle, Maggie smashes the headbanger in the face. It's stunned, then continues to approach slowly, almost taunting Maggie to keep striking. She does to no avail.
Maggie. Help!
Stan and Ray are still... You know, the people don't get a chance to see your face, and I had to look at that one. That was pretty funny. Okay, here we go. Stan and Ray are still working through the undead. The headbanger closes in, pressing Maggie's back to a wall, but it suddenly goes still and falls over dead, revealing Chief, wielding a bloody axe. Stan and Ray finish off their undead. Now with Chief, the group continues down the alley. Interior, plain house, continuous. In another part of town, the door flies open, and Long and his group run in. As soon as everyone is inside, Long and Everett brace the door shut with their bodies as an undead horde pounds on it. Zeke and Sally look for something heavy.
Zeke. Find something to brace the door. Sally. Over here.
She and Zeke move to an armoire and start dragging it to the door. Patrick, terrified and Irish, picks up a lamp and backpedals. His foot crunches on dead flower petals. Sorry.
See, that's what happens, Brian.
I know.
You know, you ad-lib. All right. Patrick. Wait. Whose house is this? Everett. Now ain't the time, god damn it.
Patrick turns and finds himself in a bedroom. Interior, plain bedroom, continuous. Patrick's eyes snap to the framed picture of himself on the nightstand. He turns to see his name on the wall, scrawled in blood. He turns again, and plain Jane is right in his face.
Plain Jane. He loves me?
She's changed. She grins with a mouth full of canines. Her hair is thin and stringy. She's hunched with gangly, muscled arms. Still, she bats her eyes flirtatiously at Patrick. He drops the lamp and runs, hurling himself through a window.
Plain Jane. He loves me not.
She chases after him.
Zeke. Patrick!
The armoire is barely in place before he runs off after Patrick. Sally chases after Zeke. Long runs to the window.
Long. We need to stay together. Sally. We'll meet you at the bar.
Long almost goes after them, but Everett holds him back.
Everett. I know. But they're going to be fine. That's the toughest lady I've ever seen. And right now, we need to get to my people.
Long sighs and leaves with Everett. Exterior, dead end, continuous. Patrick runs into a dead end. He scans every direction for a way forward, but realizes he has to go back. When he turns, Plain Jane is right in his face. She is not happy now. She grabs him by the throat and pins him to the wall. Patrick struggles against her vice-like grip. Plain Jane rears back with her free arm, revealing razor-sharp talons, and swipes at Patrick's arm, ripping it off at the shoulder.
Plain Jane. He loves me.
Patrick is in shock. Plain Jane swipes at his leg, ripping it off at the hip. Patrick howls in pain.
Plain Jane. He loves me not. Rips off his other leg. He loves me. Rips off his other arm. He loves me not.
Patrick is still conscious when Plain Jane rips off his head.
Plain Jane. He loves me.
She raises Patrick's face to hers and kisses his lips. When she pulls away, a shotgun blast suddenly explodes her head and her body falls over, dropping Patrick. Patrick's head.
He's still a person, even though he's just a head, Brian. Give him some dignity.
Not even a torso. Zeke approaches, obviously on the edge of a breakdown at what he's seeing. Sally arrives and is shocked at the scene.
Sally. Oh, Patrick. Zeke. I couldn't save him.
He falls to his knees and Sally consoles him.
Sally. Hon, I know you tried, but crying ain't gonna bring him back. And we got more people to save. Like Long.
Zeke picks himself up after a moment, and they leave. Exterior, schoolhouse, continuous. Stan's group sees roving groups of infected and undead.
Ray. We gotta get indoors, quick like.
Tommy points at the schoolhouse in the distance. There are lights inside, and children can be heard laughing.
Maggie. The school! I hear people.
She runs ahead with Tommy before Stan can stop her. Interior, schoolhouse. Continuous. The group rushes in through a side entrance.
Stan. Maggie, hold on! Maggie. It's fine. It's just children.
The group stops in their tracks at the front of the class. They turn to see the town's kids sitting perfectly still at their desks, backs straight and hands clasped. Their mouths are dripping with blood. The room is covered in viscera.
Stan. Are you okay? Oh, damn it. Sorry. For some reason, I thought this was going to be the part, Brian, that you were going to, jump in there and do, some really cool thing playing the children. All right, that's fine. The children, simultaneous dialogue here, folks. We've never done this live, so I don't have no idea how this was meant to be read.
Do Stan.
Well.
Just do Stan.
Okay. Stan.
R is
Are you okay?
U is for umbrella. O is for orange. K is for kite.
Stan. Screw it.
He pulls his pistol and fires. The children charge. Ray, Maggie, and Chief hack away. During the melee, McBully, the fat kid, approaches Tommy.
The fat kid. McBully. T is for toy.
Tommy innocently offers his toy gun, but McBully knocks it away. He lunges at Tommy, but at the last moment...
Maggie. Get away from my boy!
She smashes McBully in the face with her shovel. Then she keeps smashing until the blade deforms. Meanwhile, Chief's axe breaks, and he resorts to hand-to-hand combat. He punches children until his knuckles bleed.
Stan. There's too many!
Out of bullets, he resorts to pistol whipping kids. Ray heroically grabs a kid by the ankles and swings him around like a club, smashing other kids' skulls. They yelp and groan with tiny voices as they expire. Ray is in a frenzy. Suddenly, the front doors fly open, revealing Long and Everett. They gun the rest of the children down. Ray is left standing in the middle of the carnage, still gripping the limp child with his fists.
Everett. Jesus, Ray.
Regaining his senses, Ray throws the lifeless body down. He falls to his knees and weeps. Maggie consoles him.
Stan, to Everett. Am I glad to see you? But did you have to bring him back? Long. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt your slaughtering children. Stan. God damn it, you know they weren't. Everett. Enough! We've got a plan to get out of here, but we need to work together. To Long. That means all of us.
Long and Stan stare at each other.
Brian. Brian. All right, Brian. Shall we plug? Do some plugging?
Yeah, maybe a little plug-in.
All right, I'm going to plug it. Hang on. Okay. So, folks, even though, once again, I didn't put up pages for you to read before the show, I promise I'll get better. I'll get better. I promise I'll change. I'll get better about putting these up before the show so that you can leave comments. That is the whole point of this project, to write a script in front of the internet and with the help of the internet and see if we can make something happen, turn in a good script. But when I get back on track, the way you can participate is by visiting our website, letswritethismovie.com. And when you go, you just click on any of the links here. I'm clicking the top one. And they typically, when I have pages up, you won't have a video yet because we wouldn't have had the discussion episode that we're recording right now. But below, you will find the pages I've written for the week, and you can flip through them, and you can leave your feedback in the comment form below here, or if you are a YouTube-only participant, I guess, that's what I'll call you, you can leave a comment in the at the bottom of this video, and we'll be sure to regard your feedback in the next episode. We also have a Twitter profile, and our handle is @WriteThisMovie. I've been a little out of whack for the last couple of weeks here, so while I do engage with you, I don't normally visit. I haven't routinely been visiting our profile to just, leave forced updates, because who wants to read that? Forced content.
just put content about your video games.
Yeah, that's right. Who wants to listen to our banter? They still do it, and we still say it, so why should Twitter be any different? Anyway.
These guys ever talk about movies?
I know.
Well, we get to it.
Eventually.
It's there.
Yeah, that's what the 2x speed is for on YouTube. All right. So
I think we should talk in half speed and let people hear us normally.
Yeah?
See how that sounds. See how that sounds.
So, I know you're not into the whole internet subculture, at least not in the way that I am. But the YouTuber PewDiePie, he's in this life and death battle to retain his position as the #1 YouTuber with the most subs, with another channel called T-Series, which is an Indian corporation. And so he's been doing all these different things to, get attention and get his viewership up, get his watch time up. He filmed an entire episode in, what am I trying to say here? He put up an episode that was presented in half speed. Uh-huh. So it's supposed to be a 10-minute episode, but it was 20 minutes. And he said, watch this in double speed so that it sounds normal. But it will, look to YouTube that you've watched a 20-minute video on his channel.
Oh,
to
okay.
add to create more watch time. I think he did it as a joke, Brian. It's not a big deal, but that's what your idea just made me think of.
This guy's got to be making bank.
Well, of
Is
course.
he going to be making that much less if he's number 2, or is it just ego?
No, I don't think he actually necessarily cares. It's
Please
just,
subscribe to PewDiePie if you're listening to this. Just pause us or just get rid of us right now
Yeah.
and go to PewDiePie. Please.
Exactly.
He really needs the help. Please.
Do your part.
PewDiePie or die.
Anyway, so Brian,
Yeah, Renee.
where do you want to start? Where do you want to jump in? You want to jump in at the more absurd parts of the script?
No, I want to get there organically.
Naturally.
Yeah. So, first off, if you couldn't tell by the way I was reading it, I really enjoyed these pages. I thought they were a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I felt like the whole thing kind of moved along really well. I mean, we're out of that part where it was like mission critical to get the emotions right. Now we're having some fun again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like this is cool. This is a lot of fun. Especially the whole the whole Patrick thing just had me rolling. So there were parts where I was like laughing out loud as I was reading it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the first time.
I have to admit, I was having fun when I got to that point. I didn't have any of this fleshed out in my head.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to get back to Long's group, see what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I knew that Patrick had to be scared off by Plain Jane. But how? How do I do that?
Yeah.
And so this kind of
reveal.
like, it just kind of like was, it, like manna from heaven. Like it just fell in my lap. I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
you're
good.
watching the movie. You're watching the movie and just describing it. I could tell. I could
Yeah.
tell you were seeing it. And I'm like, yeah. Then he looks over his shoulder, sees this. It's great,
Dude.
because we're like discovering as he is. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's very
So
cinematic.
I really liked it. And, just the pedal thing, I was like, oh, you know what? It's fun when you get this far into a script and you realize the things that you set up about characters.
Right.
Like, wow, you can use that now to build these little cute moments. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, this paid off nicely. I know that in your head you knew they were going to get there, but I thought it was really good. In fact, I thought it was really clever, and I didn't get it, of course, until I got to page 112.
yeah.
But back on page 11, it says interior plain house. I didn't like, oh, okay, it's just a plain house. I didn't get until we got into the plain bedroom, like, oh, this is Plain Jane.
Oh,
That's just
yeah.
cute. That's cute. That's fun. That's like a nice little reveal for the reader.
Right.
Usually you don't get something like that. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, the whole beginning of 112, when his eyes snap around, it's just like, oh Jesus, and then there she is, of course. I mean, that was very nicely set up. I do have a question. Just trying to understand what's going on in terms of the action.
Okay.
So another part of town, the doors fly open. Long and his group go into the plain house, and they barricade the door because the horde is right there, right? So first question I had is, why were they going to the plain house? Was it just to get away from the horde that was on their tail?
Yeah.
And if so, I didn't understand.
How you can go through a window.
No, I didn't understand. No, that was fine.
Oh.
I didn't understand how basically at the end of the scene, Everett is saying, right now we need to get to my people, and they leave together. I'm guessing they're leaving through the window. So my understanding is that they're getting chased. They go in here because it was the only place they could go, but they still have a destination to get to.
Yes.
But it could be read as they were going to the plain house. That was their destination. That's why they're barricading it, because they're going to be, whether they're fortifying or not. I know where you're trying to go with it, but I don't think it was very clear in the script that this is out of necessity. They're going here.
Sure.
And then they have to escape so they can continue on their way. So I just think it needs to be a little bit more clear, because that was not to me. And I kind of put it together afterwards. I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing. This is because they have to. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Have to hit it on the head a little bit.
I see. Well, okay. So let me just back up here. I kind of wanted, my original idea was to get a little artistic with the visuals, like I did with the montage, where they were kind of leading into the next thing, like one action bled over into the next, even though it was a separate part of the world. So originally my mind was where it was at was when Chief joined Stan's group. They're trying to get away, and they kick open a door to get into a building. And I wanted to cut to an interior where a door is getting kicked open, but instead of Stan's group, it's Long's group entering, fleeing their horde of undead.
Right.
So I think to fix this, the lack of clarity, I could just have an establishing shot of, Long's group fighting, like, there's too many, And then,
No. I don't think you need to do any of that. In fact, I like what you just said. I think there just needs to be a line there, like, come on, we can't stay here we can't stay here for long.
Okay.
It's just kind of keeping the urgency there.
Yeah.
So in other words, we can't settle in and think that this is where they're going to go. I think it's very simple to fix, but I like your idea of the, the lead in, because anytime you can do that, I think it helps the person who's reading it get really engaged in the action.
Okay.
With what you just said with the door, I think that's a really cool.
So I'm unclear on your solution. Just have a bit of dialogue.
Yeah, just one line. One of them could just, whoever you want to say that, come on, we can't stay here forever, or we can't stay here for long. Just to make sure they know that this is, so the audience knows that they're moving. This is just a way station for them. An unfortunate way station.
So maybe Everett can say, and right now we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's an easy fix.
Easy fix. I assumed they were going through the window.
Yeah, I kept it vague because I didn't want to have to talk. I didn't want to have to describe the layout of this home.
Don't have to, but I think that I felt like you were keeping it there because you didn't want to go to that third line. But I think you need to put through the window when it says the armoire is barely in place before he runs off through the window, through the open window. Because that's where Zeke goes. Zeke goes there, and then Sally goes after him. And I think.
I see. So barely in place. Well, I just assumed everyone knew that they were going through this other window.
Again, I had to assume it. I just don't want to confuse anyone.
He runs off after Patrick.
I think by there, Sally is gone.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's going through the same place, and then Long and Ever are going to be going through the same way.
Yeah.
Because the armoire is now in place on the door.
It's fine. I can fix that. That's not a big deal.
All right. So, so on 113, towards the bottom, Sally says, "Han,
Han,
I know you're tried.
Yes, I know you tried.
Okay, but Crying ain't gonna bring him back, and we got to save more people like Long.
Yeah.
I was a little unclear about what this meant. So
about what?
What like Long meant?
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't know if that means we have to save people like Long or save people like Long is doing.
Oh no,
I didn't really.
We need to save Long.
Oh, need to save Long.
Well, essentially, we need to make sure he gets out safe. Like he's the other friend in this equation.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Okay, that's fine. I can make that clearer. This dialogue, I'm ambivalent about it, to be honest. I feel like I haven't established the relationship between Patrick and and Long and Sally. Like, I feel like I need to have a little bit of dialogue earlier on when he's in their bar, and maybe they're giving him life advice or something. Like, they kind of see him as like the son that they never had.
Yeah.
Right? Which raises the stakes when Sam wants to torture him to get the vault open.
Right.
Which then also raises the stakes here, and really, Zeke's it's not regret, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Basically, the way he feels about failing, it really feels like it's earned now, right? Like, it makes more sense Because the way I'm thinking about this, as the script is in its current form, people are dying everywhere, dying all around, right? They're zombies, they're eating each other, right?
Yeah.
Why is he so attached to Patrick? Why is he going to break down and weep when Patrick gets killed? Yeah, it's horrific, fine, but other people died horrifically, and you knew them. So, you know what I mean?
This is a particularly horrific one, though.
Well, yes, it's very horrific. Don't get me wrong.
So I know what you're saying. I do agree with you that I think earlier adding something there will be necessary, because I didn't really understand the connection, to be honest, either.
Yeah.
So if there's something in the bar, like you mentioned, maybe even if it's about, to tie into thematically with him, maybe it's about his love life or love or something with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it could be that's not too on the head.
Well, anyway, we could even tie in Plain Jane into that conversation. Something like, looks aren't everything.
There you go.
And Sally can play with, kind of rib Zeke a little bit. Zeke ain't much to look at or whatever, right? But I'd die for this guy or whatever. I don't know what the dialogue is, but basically, that beauty's only skin deep. All of the platitudes, right?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect time to do it.
There you go.
I know you're trying to introduce other people in there too, but I'd rather that than Chief anyway, because I don't really know that much about Chief anyhow. Really, he's just a prop.
Yeah, he's just a prop, but he's leveling up. Right, he levels up throughout it's kind of the video game aspect, right? Like, here he is, he's fighting with this wood axe, right?
Yeah,
and it breaks, and then when they tool up at the prison, at the jail, he's gonna get a fire axe. I don't know if they even had those back then, but whatever. It's gonna be a cooler axe, right? And then when we get to the bar, he's going to get his tomahawks.
Right.
Now he's in his final form.
Final battle. So on this dialogue from Sally, then, it probably even reads better without the last two lines.
All right.
And I know you tried, but Cray ain't going to bring him back. There it is. I think it's actually stronger without it.
Yeah, let's do that. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay, so on the bottom of 113, you mentioned here that the lights are inside the schoolhouse and the children are laughing.
Yeah.
But then when we go and see them, they're just sitting there covered in blood, but sitting still.
Well, that's why it's creepy, right? Like, you heard them laughing a second ago, but as soon as these people came in, they're sitting at the desks, right? Like, they must have prepared very quickly.
I wanted to make sure that was on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, I can be more explicit if necessary.
No, I think it's fine.
All right.
I just want to be sure. Okay, so when Stan pulled. Okay, so I'm sorry, in the middle of 114 now.
Yeah.
So Stan says, "I'll screw it," and pulls out his pistol and fires. I assume he meant at the children.
Yeah.
Because that's who starts charging him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the question I had. This is like the movie question now. The movie versus reality. I know for the movie to take to make you go where you want, this scene needs to happen. But if I am in the world for real, and I see this, I walk in, I see these children, I'm backing the hell out very quietly, very slowly.
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about, well, why don't they just leave the way they came in? Yes. And then I thought, well, then I'm going to have to write some convention where a kid bolts the door or something.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have to write and they can hear the zombie horde outside or something like that, from where they just came in. I thought, you know what? I don't know if an audience is really going to question this at this point once the action starts in and once Ray picks up a kid and is using him as a club.
We haven't got there yet.
I'm just saying. It's like no one's going to question anything after that. They're just going to be along for the ride. Or not. I guess I got to write it in. I'm going to have to put a couple lines here. And the way they came in from is barred for some reason.
Things stop them from turning around. No, my reaction was to what's coming up. So we'll get there in a minute. I know you're trying to get me to that point of the Ray, child club.
The rage. Anyway.
Yeah. I know you're not trying to be. I know you're not trying to fill those tropes necessarily. But I would probably back it the hell out of there.
Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't?
All right.
So that's fine. Look, I can add a thing where as soon as they get inside, like maybe some kind of antechamber, like a small antechamber, like the teacher's quarters or something. I don't know if they had that. I think like back then it was just a room with desks. Yeah. I can add something. Maybe I can even add some foundational dialogue early on, like when Stan's talking to Miss Stapleton. How you liking that teacher antechamber? That new teacher antechamber. It's the latest thing in France.
It's pretty strange how you have that antechamber that just locks one way automatically. Can't get out.
I like it. I feel so safe in there.
None of my children can leave.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't like the clunkiness of any of this. I guess in my head, I just had, some kids that magically formed there. Wait, you know what I mean? So they're surrounded. But I know that kind of ruins the idea of them being in their, in their seats, being all creepy.
Well, how about, Stan, instead of Stan saying, screw it, he can say, I'm tired of running. Let's kill some kids.
He's just instigating.
That's why, I wanted it to be
kind of kids.
What?
I never liked kids.
Yeah, exactly. Hell, you know what? I mean, I could add some kind of dialogue with him and Rebecca. Like, what do you think we should name our kids? And he can say something like, I hate kids. Anyway, yeah, I wanted it to be this kind of like flippant thing because, these are people who are on the edge already, right? So, screw it. That essentially conveys what he's feeling. Like, you know what? Enough of this skulking around. Let's just fight.
Yeah. And I think that's legitimate because these kids are obviously, not regular children. They're all done for.
Right.
I like I'm sick of running. I think at least that's...
Okay, I can do that.
Giving a reason.
That can change later. I mean, I'm not in love with that yet, but I think that is better than what's there if it helps make it more believable.
Yeah.
So before we move on, this dual dialogue, it originally was not simultaneous dialogue, but the more I thought about it, the more it made more sense that as a person is speaking and they're hearing letters, right, that they would repeat whatever they had learned. Mm-hmm. I know I didn't quite maintain that earlier in the script, and maybe I can add some dialogue where people are using words that sound like a single letter, and that will trigger the infected to repeat something. But I thought this actually worked out pretty well. Are you okay? Those are 4 letters to a person, to a kid, right? And I'm also thinking, sorry, Brian, did you say something? I couldn't hear you.
No, I was just going to say, I thought it played really well. Like, I thought,
Yeah. So after I sent it to you, I thought, you know what? I think it makes more sense if Tommy asks, are you okay? Because I don't think an adult speaks that way. And okay sounds too childish, especially for this time. And, give Tommy an extra line. But I'm not sure how the children say this. I wrote children just because I didn't want to have to break it up into different characters.
Right.
First of all. But I'm not sure if it's going to be in unison, or not in unison, in linear form or format the way you read it, or if it's going to be just random, just as kind of like whispering. Some children say R is for ring. Others say U is for umbrella, right? And it's almost kind of like this, just this whispers from all around.
I think just leave it like this. That would be like a director's choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
I think you've got a cool idea, and it's there.
All right. Great.
No, I think that's fine. All right, so I was commenting on the script as I read linearly as well.
Okay.
So I got towards the bottom of 114.
Okay.
And Chief says he punches children until his knuckles bleed. I wrote, well, that's a lovely visual. Little did I know. Little did I know that we're about to go really hard here. So I mean. This is a tough sell to this is a tough sell, I think. So I guess when that was happening, I was like, now we're looking at, in the world that we're living.
Yeah.
Right. We're looking at the Native American beating the one Native American beating the crap out of children. And that's a visual, dude. That's something to take in. And then when you went to the next step, out of bullets, he resorts to pistol whipping kids. I'm like, okay, that's pretty harsh. And then Ray gets in on the action. So we're down like kind of minority row here. Ray heroically grabs a kid by the ankles and swings him around like a club, smashing other kids' skulls. Well, which makes sense because he is a good weapon. You would think. But so logically, I see where you're at, okay? I felt like tonally, this is quite a departure from what we just saw. And I felt like the only thing I could write here was that I feel like we're getting into Sam Raimi territory, and that's where my head went with this. So I was a little bit concerned about the tone. There's undertone also, which is a little bit concerning, but I'm concerned about the overtone as well.
What's the undertone, Brian?
The undertone is what I just said.
The race thing?
The minorities start killing children.
Oh, come on. No one's gonna see that. Come on, man.
Absolutely, they will.
Here's what we'll do, Brian. If that's a concern, I can write that all.
It's not a concern for me.
I get it. What I'm saying is, this is what I will say to the producer who says, "Wait a second." I'll say, "Well, all the kids are white," and then they'll be like, "Oh, you know what? I do like this scene. I knew I liked it for a reason."
What was Ray saying? Privilege.
Exactly.
White privilege.
Exactly. It works. All right, so I hear what you're saying, and yes, this does, and it purposefully gets a little, it pushes the envelope, right? And then when I saw it in my head, I was like, you know what? This is crazy, right? Like, you've never seen, there's only one other movie where I've seen a character use another, like a kid, as a weapon like that, as a club-like weapon.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, that's...
Wait, what movie was that?
It was... Oh, wait. Oh, I can't... I'm blanking on everything. I can only see it.
What's the genre? What kind of movie is it?
Psychological thriller, I guess. It had De Niro. It had Bradley Cooper. It was about taking a drug. I think it was an adaptation of a book called The Killing Fields or The Dark Fields, something like that. It's, oh God, I mean, I really like this movie. Anyway, this sequence in this movie, this Bradley Cooper movie, it was done for laughs, even though it was done seriously. Basically, this drug, it makes you like access all of the entirety of your brain, so it makes you like essentially super smart and analytical, right? And so in this scene, I'm going to try to be vague since I know you haven't seen it, but basically there's this scene where this woman...
It sounds familiar, actually.
Okay, you have probably seen it.
Might have, yeah.
She is being tracked by this guy who is going to try to kill her. At least she assumes that, try to hurt her in some way. And Bradley Cooper's on the phone with her, and he's like, take the drug. You'll know what to do, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, what? And he's like, just do it. So she takes a pill, and suddenly the effects are like instantaneous, and she's like looking, and she sees like there's a gardener with shears, like, pruning some bushes, and you think, oh yeah, she's gonna stab him with these shears or something. There's like something else, another obvious weapon, and then she sees a kid ice skating, and she goes running for the kid. And then the bad guy's chasing her on the ice, and she gets to the kid. She picks up the kid and swings around and like hits the guy in the face with the blades of the ice skates. Right. And I was like, is that meant to be funny? Because it's kind of funny. Is this like, very dry humor?
Yeah.
And so it has to be, right? So I don't know why I'm talking about that. Oh, only because you asked me like what other movie was. Okay. So Here are the ideas that informed why I wrote this. One, it's the gore factor, right? Like, it's a lot of movies, a lot of zombie movies. You have a lot of gore. Like people are getting their, it's like a common trope is or convention is the guy who's like surrounded by zombies and they all rip into his abdomen and they're pulling out sausage links and it's his intestines. Right. And it's very gory, right? So I don't think we have anything like that in this movie yet. And so I wanted to have at least a short moment of that. Secondly, you never have zombie movies. Well, it's very rare that you have zombie movies where there are children, right? Like you would think if there were going to be zombies on a widespread basis like this, that a lot of them would be children because the children, they can't survive on their own. Right? Yeah. So I wanted to have a scene where there was a lot of zombie children, essentially what amounts to zombie children, even though they're not technically zombies, they're infected.
Let me pause you for a second.
Yeah.
So far, I'm 100% with you so far.
Okay. All right.
All makes sense and all good.
All right. So gore, children, child used as club, these are all things that have existed in movies, maybe not commonly, okay? But those are the ideas. Because they exist in my brain, I just assume I can put them in my movie. But I'm glad I get this instant feedback from you because obviously you have a reaction to it and it's not a good reaction, so...
Well, it's like you've really upped the ante now. You know what I mean? This one was taking it to another level that I didn't expect. I expected a lot of carnage, of course. They're all zombies, and I was okay with Stan doing what he's doing because logically, why not?
Yeah.
Right? They're already done anyway. Might as well get rid of them because they are going to be threats.
Right.
So that makes sense. And I think we've kind of gotten to the point where we're a little bit hardened, as viewers or readers of this. You've got to take hard actions. You got the army taking hard actions. You've got, them taking actions with all the women. I mean, it makes sense. It was just like, this one felt like that paragraph just took me out of it a little bit. I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like I could see Evil Dead 2 all of a sudden. I was like,
yeah,
it's just it got there, and I don't know if it was the way it was written, because I could hear you, I could hear you writing this, like as you're doing it.
Brian's gonna love this. The tiny voices.
They inspire.
Okay, so it is meant to be a little bit of that. So you watched The Horde with me, and you remember when the female is fighting the other zombie lady in the kitchen?
Yeah, of course. And
suddenly the visual presentation changed. At least it did for me, where it was a lot of quick cuts where it's like slams her into a wall.
Yeah.
Goes to the two shot of that. Boom. Cuts back. Boom.
It took me out of the movie a little bit too.
Okay. Well, it was definitely different for me when I saw it. It felt different from what I was watching, but
Right.
it didn't. It still fit for me. So I'm hoping that, if this movie ever gets made, it will find a director who can still find that right balance.
I have no doubt of that at all. My only issue is with the reader who gets here and goes, "Oh, should I finish this?
I'm already 140 pages in.
I read, I read this far. There's not much left. Is it like, that's what I worry about.
I hear you. So, here's
When you're combining those issues that I mentioned before that you think aren't going to play on people, that will, with who's doing what. And I know. I mean, I'm the one who told you before, dude, just be yourself. Don't worry about that crap. Remember that?
Yeah.
And now I'm telling you, well, you might want to worry about that crap. Or at least maybe when it's combined with this particular thing that you're doing. Like, this is to me like the worst thing. This is like worse than what just happened in the scene before, which actually did play for grossly funny. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is exactly what you were just talking about. Everything there is like cruel, funny, totally within the spirit of the movie, still harsh, but, kind of funny. You know what I mean?
All right. So I hear you.
I love I hear yous. I think every episode we get, I hear you. That's what we should do. We should do a supercut of I hear yous.
Well, I mean, I'm still trying to accept the self-censorship, I guess. Like, that really bothers me. It's like, if I have to consider that, why write? Why do this at all? Is where I'm
because you're still trying to
what
sell
I'm
it.
feeling.
I understand. And I listen, when it's me reading it for me, I'm laughing at this whole thing. I think it's funny, and I don't mind going into those absurd areas at all.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to read this with the responsibility of other people are going to read this and want to buy it. That's the only thing I'm giving here.
Sure.
So I mean, I just want you to make sure you know that this is me trying to give you, like, I mean, the whole thing as far as like, why should I write it is, well, because you're trying to sell it and trying to get a movie made, and then the next movie made, and the next movie made. So I'm just trying to make sure we don't minimize those chances with something that just rubs people the wrong way too much.
I hear you. So that's the artist side of me, and the problem solver side of me is already thinking like, okay, well, how can I tone this down? And the easy solution is, we go from Stan saying, screw it, and close up on gun as he fires, right? And we don't see what he's firing at. When we cut to Long and Everett sneaking up, it's like, oh, they got to be in the schoolhouse. I can hear them fighting for their lives or whatever, right? And they're like trying to break the door in, and then they break in, and the fight is now over, and Stan's group, they're just like a bloody mess, right? And we don't see who did what. What's that, Brian?
A heap of children.
Yeah, we have a heap of children.
So
right?
I feel like you've gone from here to here. And I'm saying I would go from here to here. I would just make adjustments if I was you.
It's
like, I don't think there's a problem with, okay, let me give you some ideas on this, because I don't like just giving you vague.
Come to me with solutions, Brian, not just problems.
Here's a solution. I think the problematic,
I can be a manager.
The problematic line here is that Ray is heroically grabbing a kid by the ankles and swinging him around like a club, right? I don't think that. So there are a couple issues with that. First off, I don't think it's heroic of him to do that, because he's just saving his own self. I would say not heroically. What's the word I'm looking for? But he's like desperately. He's desperately looking for a solution here, and he picks up a kid. And I would say that he could be throwing children into other children, number one, very easily, and I think that's fine. But the other thing is, I would actually ratchet up the problem with the children, because right now it sounds like the children are just taking a beating, but I want to hear what they're doing to the group. You know what I mean? Like, how are they attacking them? Of course, they have to do this for self-defense.
Yeah.
They're scratching at their ankles or whatever the kids are doing, to make them a little bit more of a terror, and what he's doing, what they're doing is more justified. So I don't think you should take it to the point where we don't see any of it. I just want to feel a little bit more in the actual fight itself.
Sure. Okay. I didn't want it to be a novelization, right? Like, I think, we didn't, if we don't need, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's fine. I just felt like, the kids, it seems obvious the way they would attack because they're just children.
Right.
And in a previous unwritten version of this, just as I was kind of like going through it, I was going to have their parents as the dead bodies that are lining the room, right? That's where all the viscera is from. And one idea was that when Stan's group walks in, all the kids are sitting there creepily, but McBully is still like eating his mom or whatever on the ground, and then he looks up and he's like, oh, and then he slowly gets to his desk because, even as an infected, he's still like slovenly and, disorderly, like, you know what I mean? Just to maintain his character throughout.
Right.
But then I thought, man, that's like a lot of lines I'm going to have to devote just for like this one little thing that doesn't even really matter. But it sounds like it might matter. I might have to write it just for,
Honestly, I think it's just just 2 or 3 lines should take care of it. Honestly, I think you should keep the spirit of everything you did because it's cool. And I think that, having to fight children in a situation like this is understandable. And having to use children against each other is something that I wouldn't leave out. Weaponizing the child, a child because, what else do they have at at this point, I think makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think it was the choice in which it kind of it sounded gleeful the way you wrote it, because
it was gleeful, Brian. Come on, how awesome is that going to look? A giant man with a little kid just boom, boom, that is going to be so like cinematic brilliance, like it's going to be the thing people talk about and get people into the theater. Like, you've got to see that scene. Oh my God, it's crazy. You know what I mean? No? It's fine. I'm already kind of like warming up to the whole, you didn't get to see it. You just kind of like leave it to the mind's eye, leave it to the imagination what happened in the room.
Well, the other thing I like about talking about what's happening here is that earlier you begged off, right? The child got shot off camera.
Yeah.
And so you
wait, who got shot off camera?
Under Espinoza.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yes.
And so you kind of expect that you're not going to see it. And I like subverting the expectation and seeing it. I don't think it's a problem showing it.
I want to show it. I do.
I don't like the idea of just, stopping it and they show up and then there's a bunch of dead kids. I think this could be a really cool sequence.
Okay. Gonna have to noodle on it.
I know.
So just lay it out for me one more time. The concerns are that it's minorities doing all the violence. And
so I think that's okay as long as they're not being heroic or taking glee in what they're doing.
I see. So I have to make it a little more justified. Yeah. Like they are
being attacked. They have no other choice.
They're defending themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have no other choice.
All right.
And the only weapons that are at their that are ready at this time are their children, which makes sense because they're just the right size to swing around. was me, I'd be like, it's great. But again, I'm trying to be responsible in my notes giving. Hence the other changes that didn't make it into the read. That I will leave at that. Yeah, that's all I really have on the whole thing. So I think you're right though, because this is going to be a memorable scene. But you're also, to me, the more memorable scene, just the way it was written, is Plain Jane, because I think that's just it's wicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a payoff that's like earned. You know what I mean? So to me, that would be the one, dude. You got to see what happens to this guy. That's the one that would be what I'd be talking about, not necessarily the children. Even if it was a cool scene, that one you built up, and you made it interesting because he runs into her earlier and gets out of their conversation, and you see her taking the potion and all that stuff, or whatever it was. Yeah, the elixir or whatnot. And I think there's
potion number 9, Brian.
Yeah, okay. We're more invested in that.
Yeah, hey, all of your feedback tonight was great, on point, and it kind of, I had concerns. I wasn't sure how I was going to go over, and I appreciate you giving it to me straight. As I'm writing these, as I'm like kind of tying up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
First of all, before we move on, I had trouble writing the Mortimer Alley scene in describing it, and I'm hoping you have no notes about that, so I'm assuming it played out okay. Like, how do you describe light spilling out of the shop, right, and creating this pool and having people run through that to show that they're monsters now?
I should have given you the notes that I didn't write actually down. I think I subscribed a little bit to your tell me what you don't like issue, and don't laud praise on me. But that was actually one of the best, some of the best writing in the actual.
Oh, okay, good. Well, the way you read it, I could tell.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah, you had some fun there. So,
well, not just that. I really enjoyed the pool of light, and then.
I hope that someone else reading it will understand the orientation of everything.
I think it was perfectly clear.
Okay.
No issues with that at all.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, as I get to kind of like, as I'm like killing off characters and funneling everybody down to the big climax, it does feel, I have this feeling of too many resolved things, like everything is very neat, and I don't know why I feel like that's bad, right? That was my intent, but I just, because we're writing this the way we are, which is just kind of herky-jerky every week, I'm losing the sense of proportionality, and I'm feeling like, is this story about Patrick? I know it's not, but just the amount of like mind share that I have to devote to these things, it's making me feel like, why am I spending so much time making this work for this little like sub character, right? Like this whole him getting a special death.
Yeah. Because it's great.
I mean, it's great, but
you want the fun things like that to happen. Those are the things that are going to stick with people.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and I know what you're saying. And honestly, I don't think we're going to have that discussion until we get to draft 2 anyway, when we really read the whole thing through and say, maybe there's a little bit of this and not enough of this. Yeah. Because we have to take that kind of approach, that comes with a full read.
Yeah.
But I mean, just from these pages that I read, and keeping it in my own context of what's been going on, I felt like it was fine.
Okay.
Like it didn't feel like it was too much. Probably because it was set up, with several small, scenes before.
Yeah.
I mean, in actuality, this person's probably on screen for 2 to 3 minutes. You know what I mean? But it's a cool, fun role that anyone would want to play. I want to beat Patrick's head. Oh, and then she kisses it. I'm like, oh man.
I know. One unwritten draft was she kisses it and then like puts it up to her head like this and like is lovey-dovey with it, you know? But I think I was like, they get the point. You know, a director can direct if they want.
Yeah, well, those are all my notes, man. I felt like these were really fun pages. You know, I have a feeling we're going to sprint now to the end because, I mean, are you keeping like a tally list of who's still alive at this point, or you just got it all in your head?
I have it all in my head. I mean, the only other things we need to resolve is Sam getting to the bar ahead of everybody.
Yeah. We
have to get to the brothel to save Rebecca and have her get killed. I'm still up in the air on how that's going to happen, which, I was so solid like a couple of weeks ago. And now it's like, I don't know if I can have it end or resolve the way I originally discussed. So I feel like even though there's a clear roadmap, it's like the details, the individual steps in the road, they're not clear. And so that's always the difficulty.
I'm not worried about this because I think this is a fun part, though. Like you've kind of set up these people, and now you can have fun killing them off. That's kind of a neat thing. And by the way, you mentioned something about like being too neat, as far as like I don't know if it's each death or something, and there's too much being wrapped up. But like if someone is invested in this type of movie, they're curious now how they're gonna die. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you kind of look forward to it, not like a Final Destination type of thing.
Yeah.
But even like the movie we just watched, the whole time I'm thinking, well, who's going to make it? Who's going to make it? Is it going to be one or two of them? Some's going to be not quite what I thought. Oh, okay, it's going to be this one and this one. I thought maybe the old man was going to make it, and then he gave up. And that's the kind of thing that you're in for when you're watching a movie like this. Like who's the final standing? Who's the last standing? And I like seeing those deaths, even if they're small. It's like they're kind of fun, and they get more interesting usually as they go along, right? Because you're more invested in those characters.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we're gonna see Bao come back.
Oh, that's right. I gotta bring him back. Oh, all right. Well, you know what? I mean, still haven't hit 120, so exactly. I'm still feeling okay, to be honest.
116, and Bao comes back and gets shot. And they take some dynamite, and Jimmy and Sarah escape.
And they escape. The end.
And Long kills Everett. Everett rises from the dead. 120.
The end. All right, man. Good episode.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
I said there's also a brothel somewhere in there.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere.
Rebecca! And everyone, they use the dynamite and destroy the brothel. The end.
The end.
I can write this for you, dude. I just did.
You're done.
All right, man. Well, good job. That's all I have.
Okay, great. I really should tell everybody to give a thumbs up earlier on, like within the first 1 minute. Hey, if you're just coming in, hit a thumbs up right now and subscribe.
If you haven't done it yet, what the hell's wrong with you?
Who gets to this part in the episode, Brian? It's like, 2 hours in? I have no idea.
Less?
Oh, yeah, less. Hour and a half or so. Anyway, if you're still watching, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, tell your friends.
And if you're driving and listening to this episode on YouTube, you're driving around, pull off. Go ahead, pull off right now.
Pull off.
And go ahead and hit a like, subscribe to us, and then, head back onto the freeway.
There you go.
We'll wait. Seriously, go ahead. We will wait. Forward it to 10 friends.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's it. So we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Double fisting.